The Lifestyle Show, presented by Selina MacKenzie.
And it's Culinary Corner time. We're going to be chatting to Kate McIntosh now about her book, How to Add Flavour, an Introduction to Spices and Herbs. Great to have you on the show with us, Kate.
Hi, Selina. Thanks very much.
So you wrote this with Ian Hemphill. Am I right? That's your father?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Ah, how lovely. What was that like, writing a book together?
Well, it's not our first. So we have been working together for many years, and my grandmother was actually a book writer as well. So it's been passed down. We're all very passionate about flavour, herbs and spices and delicious food.
Yeah, I love this idea because I find it a bit of a minefield. There are so many different herbs and so many different spices, and, you know, how do you know what goes with which? So I'm hoping you can help there.
Yes. Well, we have another book, which is a very extensive herb and spice Bible, which goes into great depth, and that's for people that really want to dig in. So this book is really aimed at either beginner cooks or just people who are trying to eat a little more healthily, steer away from ultra-processed food, which seems to be all that, you know, we're reading and hearing about. So we've just really broken it down into really simple book that has 15 readily available herbs and spices and 60 recipes using just those 15 to create delicious and really healthy, tasty food.
Excellent, because they can sort of enhance flavour, but they can also just be a garnish, can't they, on the top of a meal?
Absolutely. So we talk about the difference between herbs and spices. So because some ingredients can be a herb and a spice. So the herb is generally the leaf and the spice is the root, bark, berry or seed. So something like coriander, which you would, garnish. Something with fresh coriander is very different to coriander seed, which is very mild as opposed to the leaf and is used in many, many spice blends. It's an amalgamating mild spice. So you wouldn't necessarily think of the two together, but they both are wonderful. So, the fact that you can learn the difference between a herb and a spice and when to use them, because with a herb, you have fresh and dried. Mm. So, and we'll talk about the mint recipe in a little bit. But so, for example, something like mint, when it's fresh, you have it in tea, you put it through salads, and when it's dried, you generally have it as a slow cook. And that is the same for things like basil and oregano, which if you use the general rule of thumb is that fresh isn't cooked. So, as you mentioned, to garnish, you can stir through, basil into a pasta sauce towards the end, but generally if you cook it, it will lose a lot of its, fresh top notes, whereas a dried herb, the volatile oils are concentrated upon drying. So then when you put that into your bolognese or your slow cooked dish, the herb then releases all those wonderful flavours into the dish, which you're not going to get as much if you just put it on top. So, that's really the key difference between fresh and dried, and no one is better than the other. They just have different uses.
So with herbs, it can be fresh or dried. Am I right in thinking with spices, it's always dried?
It's always dried, that's right, because a lot of the time what happens is there'll be an enzyme reaction upon drying, which then creates the flavour that is not present when it's fresh.
And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but another difference, is it right that with herbs you would usually use them just at the end of the cooking, or as we said, to garnish, but with spices,
that's right,
you'd add it earlier because it's more the flavour, isn't it?
Yes. And so it needs time for that flavour to, become a part of your dish and just to develop. So, even if it's just, 5 minutes, or when you add it to the dish as well with the spices. And another misconception sometimes is that spices always need to be toasted. A lot of the time in a curry recipe, it will say to put your spices in the pan and toast them and cook them around, which is great for some dishes, but again, not necessarily all the time. If you think about the difference between bread and toast, both are delicious, but sometimes you want bread and sometimes you want toast. So, a more delicate dish, you would just stir the spices in. And if you wanted something really robust, generally a curry, you will toast those spices at the beginning of your recipe.
And is it important, Kate, how and where to store herbs and spices?
Yes, it is. Generally out of extreme heat or light, and also to prevent any moisture or air getting in. So as long they keep them airtight, and generally that's why spice drawers are fantastic. And just be careful if you're shaking your herbs or spices over a steaming hot pan, that steam will come up and go into your jar or packet and could then create moisture, and then you might get clumping or, just a little bit of, moisture damage in there. So generally put it into a teaspoon and then add it to your dish.
How interesting. I remember going to Morocco once and going to the market, and the herbs and spices there are phenomenal.
It is absolutely fantastic. Absolute heaven for someone like me.
I know, I can imagine. What is allspice? I always think of allspice as being lots of different spices mixed together. Is that correct?
Yes. It's not at all. So that is quite a misconception there, because it's actually a berry native to Jamaica. So when Christopher Columbus got to Jamaica and thought, this looks like pepper. So but then they tasted it and thought, what is this? So it became Jamaican pepper, and then it was called allspice. So it is actually a singular berry. It looks a bit like a peppercorn, hence the confusion. But it does sort of, I guess, cloves, cinnamon and nutmeg rolled into one. So, it's a brilliant, brilliant spice. And it's also used in sweet and savoury cooking. So that's the key spice in Jamaican jerk, which we have a jerk recipe in the book, which is lovely, but also very commonly used in cakes and biscuits as well.
That's interesting. I was thinking there's not going to be any sort of desserts in this book at all, but they can be used in cakes and biscuits.
We've got a few, yes.
Wow.
Not too many, but yes, and we've got chili chocolate brownies as well.
Oh, lovely.
Yes,
wonderful.
just a touch of chili with chocolate is one of my favourite things. It's really lovely.
It sounds nice. And I'm going to ask you the purpose of something now, because I always remember my grandmother, if she was making a soup, she'd always put a bay leaf in it and then take it out at the end. And I couldn't work out what the purpose of it was.
Well, while that soup's cooking, the flavour from that bay leaf is coming out. Those oils are being released into the dish. And then, by the end of cooking, there'll be very little left in that bay leaf. So it's very, simply just removed. Its work is done and flavour has been imparted. So, in some, French cooking, you will have a bouquet garni, which is a mix of herbs wrapped up in muslin that gets added to a stew or a long slow cook, and then you'll remove that at the end.
Well, there are 15 essential spices and herbs, 60 recipes in the book, from Cajun blackened garlic shrimp to roasted allspice sweet potatoes to lemon crab and basil linguine. It's making me hungry. But one we did mention earlier is lamb burgers with fresh and dried mint. So tell us how we do that.
Yes. Well, look, this is really simple, but I think that's the whole idea, is to, move away from takeaways or, ready prepared meals. And when you realise how simple it is to make at home, cooks will get more confidence, and then you can mix up flavours. So something simple like a burger. I love that mint has got two uses here. So by adding it in with the lamb mince, so you simply take some lamb mince and add the dried mint, shape it into patties, and then while that's cooking, mix some fresh mint with yogurt, and then you've got that lovely, really cool, bit like a raita. kind of flavour. And simply there is your grilled lamb burger with lovely, mint and salt and pepper. That's all that's needed. Some fresh tomato, cucumber and onion, lovely yogurt sauce, all in a bun. And there is your lamb burger.
Oh, fresh mint and yogurt together. That sounds lovely.
Yes. I mean, and that's just a lovely dip to have with, some chopped up pieces of carrot or yes. And it's very cooling. It's a bit similar to a raita with Indian food when you're having all that, really hot, spicy chili heat that cools it right down.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, that and lots of other recipes are in the book. It's called How to Add Flavour, An Introduction to Spices and Herbs. It's by Kate McIntosh and her father, Ian Empshill. And we are selling it on our website now, TRE.radio. Kate, if people want to find out about you and your dad and your other books, do you have any sort of website?
Yes, we do. It is www.herbies, herbies.com.au.
Great stuff. Are you in Australia now?
No, I'm not. I'm based in London, in England, and my dad is in Australia, and and our publisher is in Canada. So it's a global effort. Yes.
Bless you. Well, good luck with the book, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks very much, Selina.
Thanks, Kate. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.